The committee is back. The committee is in the city. Aaron Rodgers does not have a helmet, and we are going to be doing tiers. It's going to be a great segment. Greg will be here. It's going to be wonderful.
I think Greg's on the committee.
Yeah.
Well,
I used to be on the committee.
You got kicked off, right?
Yeah, it's always a little bit.
It was
spotty
I don't know what he
attendance.
did.
If we're being honest, Greg, it was spotty attendance.
That was a concept thing. Saquon's got a new deal. 1 year, $10 million, can get up to $11 million with incentives. He can be franchise tagged again next year. So it feels like we're just kicking this issue down the road a bit. Here's where the money lines up when compared to the top 4 rushers of last year. Everybody's making around 10, but Josh Jacobs and Saquon are the only ones on 1 year deals. Yeah. So is this a win or a loss for him?
It's fine. I wouldn't have done it. He basically got potentially an extra $900,000 and now has to show up for training camp. To me, that wouldn't have been worth it. So I would have just played the franchise tag. That's what he had to do. But the conversation here has been about what are we going to do about Greg?
Correct.
What are we going to do about running backs? And the answer is, what do we do about the big white stiff in the NBA when the league changed? Did we all cry about it, or did we realize the sport's changed? Like, when I say that, and they weren't always white guys, but back when Zoe and Shaq and Robinson and Ewing and Hakeem were dominant players, there was a jobs program if you were 7 feet tall with a pulse. Mm-hmm. Can you go on the court and foul people for 10 minutes? Okay, you can have a job. Those jobs went away, but it's not like those jobs went away. They just went to different people. And right now in the NFL, fullback is damn near extinct, and running back, there's too many good ones to pay a bunch of money for the few great ones. But that money is still being paid out. Salary cap is growing. The players are getting paid. It's just going to third-string tight ends a bit or more money to receivers. The sport is changing. Now, could there be a world where the best running backs in college football, not Bijan Robinson, but the next class, the guy who's going to be a 4th-round pick, is like, 4th-round pick in the NFL gets $500,000 guaranteed. My NIL deal at Michigan, my buddy Laszlo from the radio in Kansas City brought this up. I thought it was a great point. Could a star college running back make more money if he stays in college football? It's like, they're offering me $3 million. And guess what? If that happens, it will actually help the NFL money because then there won't be so many really good ones. If this keeps going, guess what? The great, how old were you when it was clear you were an awesome athlete? Awesome.
I was
young.
11,
11, exactly. No, seriously.
I was going to say 7.
No, but could there be a point where the great young athletes are like, not playing running back because I'm going to the NFL and I want to make a bunch of money? Yeah, probably will. Yeah. And guess what? Then in 20 years when that happens, there won't be a surplus of awesome running backs, and so the awesome ones will get paid more again. But this is just the sport evolving and changing. I feel badly, I guess, for these guys, but you feel great for Jalen Waddle, who now is going to make way more money than he used to. Like, that's just how this thing works.
Yeah, ultimately it's a loss because when we think about the reports that we heard over the bye week, that being potentially more than what he got offered, right before the end of
minicamp?
No, not in minicamp. Right here.
3 years,
where
33.
This past Monday, where the franchise tag needed to be signed.
The deadline.
The deadline, yes. I'm sorry. He was offered slightly a little bit more than what he just signed for. So it's tough because of what you're talking about. And when you look at the landscape of the running backs and them not being paid the way that they feel like their value is or their worth, that's the hard part. And Saquon, he was torn. When you listen to him on the Money podcast or whatever podcast that was, he was torn whether I don't know if I would have to sit out. It's not really who I am. I'm a team guy. Yeah. I could be like, screw my teammates, screw the Giants. He was torn this entire time. And so the Giants understood that. They need Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley understands that Le'Veon Bell didn't help anybody's situation when he decided to sit out and then came back.
Help his career.
And and was never the same after that. So it's a loss because they want to make more money at that position. I don't think it's going to happen.
And look, he's a good guy. He didn't want to hurt his teammates' chances of winning. He didn't want to, sit out the season. I don't even think he was torn. I think this deal where he got his $2 million up front, he could make another $1 million extra. I think that kind of gave him I got a little something
Save
so I can go out there and play. Yeah, save a little bit of face. Nick, you're right. Look, the game has changed, and it's hard for us to accept because when we all grew up, running back, especially me,
That was the
running back
primary
was the
position.
glamour position. All right, and now, but right guards, nobody is complaining about the right guard who's not making a ton of money, right? And so this is just what has happened to the sport, and running backs aren't going to make that type of money. Your Chiefs are a prime example. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I loved in college, first-round pick, he gets benched. They win the Super Bowl with a 7th-round pick.
Right.
Isaiah Pacheco. So 3rd-round picks, Kamara, Kareem Hunt. There's a lot of great running backs out there.
Don't you think, and Mina Kimes outlined this more succinctly and probably better than I can, that the issue is not, part of it is what you're saying, that the positions have changed, but part of it is their earnings are capped and they're immediately good. Like you can come into the league and be immediately good, and then by the time you hit the free market, your skills are eroded, where it's the opposite for a quarterback. Where a quarterback, it takes a few years, and now it's like, okay, now Joe Burrow's going to get a bunch of money. And that's what, it's artificial is what's capping the
I understand that, but the point that I would make and push back on that is, yes, that sucks for running backs. But because it is a league with a hard cap and a hard floor, that money then goes to other guys.
Yes.
And so the money that is not being spent on running backs is now going to T. Higgins at some point.
Absolutely.
And it's driving. So if all of a sudden it was like, you know what, running backs come straight out of college and you're going to make $12 million a pop, that money's not coming out of the owner's pocket. That's coming out of the other guys' pockets. The sport's changed.
It almost feels like they need
their own union.
I don't know.
They need like a special thing in the CBA where they could hit free agency earlier than everybody. I don't know if you can do that, but like in their 3rd year, after their 3rd year, they can hit free agency.
My point is that just takes money away from other positions. That's all it does.
But then it levels it out a little bit, so it's constant.
I think we should. I think Harrison Butker should.
They're only paid more than kickers and punters.
Yeah, well, that's about how. That's about right.
It's unfortunate.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.